What is going on today, YouTube? Charlie Morris back at you with another video. Alright, now growing up, my dad was a very, very violent individual. He used to beat the shit out of my mom. He used to beat the shit out of me and my brother. He, it's nothing but hate. He was always saying bad stuff about people or whatever. I mean, if you wasn't in a clan or whatever, if you wasn't solid white or whatever, my dad, would call you names. Now, growing up, I never knew what, an African American was. And I knew, I'd seen a black person before, but it was like, I didn't know him as African American. My dad never, called him that or anything like that. It was always the N-word. And we traveled the carnival, and down south the carnival was prejudice. They didn't like black people. They had used the N-word. When there was Hispanics, they called them the W word. When it was Middle Eastern people, they called them the T word. And I'm not going to say the words. So, I never knew what they were. So, when I was growing up, I just thought they were nicknames. I thought they were nicknames. I didn't know. I was like, you hear it all the time, and finally, you think, it's a nickname. So, I'd go around and I'd see a black person or whatever, and I'd be like, there's an N-word. Not thinking it's bad, thinking that's just what they were called. I knew my dad used it, my dad's family used it, my dad's friends in the carnival used it. Everybody used it. The only time that I really didn't see it used heavily was when I was at school. So, no big deal on that, whatever. So I was told wrong on that from Jump Street. Now, like I said, when it also came to black people, I wasn't able to have a black friend growing up when I was around my dad. I wasn't allowed to have a black friend. That's an ass whooping. That's an ass whooping. I'm getting my ass whooped. Not a spanking, but I'm getting till I'm calling, begging him to quit hitting me, stop hitting me, whooping me bad. Everybody's yelling at him, quit hitting him, quit hitting him. And he was like, he's an in-lover. So, that's the way it was. So I never really, had a black friend, growing up. And, so, I just thought that, it hurt too much to be a friend of a black person. It hurt too much to be a person of, of Latino or, something like that. I just knew if you wasn't white and I was your friend, I wanted you to be my friend, I was going to get my ass whooped really, really hard. And it was going to hurt. Now, some people saying put in foster care kind of, makes you emotionally or whatever, but this is how, foster care saved my life. So, one day, we was in littlest, Georgia, by the Tallahatchie River. That song died down by the Tallahatchie. We lived by there. It was, it was this road that goes from littlest to Jessup, Georgia. So, we was living in littlest, Georgia at the time in the town, and we was going to a county school. So, littlest and Jessup, Georgia go to the same school. They go to a county school. So, my dad, beat the crap out of my mom one night, and her and my brother left, went away. So my dad didn't know what to do with me, so he put me in foster care. So, he took me and he said, I have to put you in foster care or whatever, and meanwhile I was in foster care. So, when my dad turned me over to, them, I was sitting there and this lady came in, it's gonna be her foster family, they were gonna be my foster family. So, I met with him or whatever, and, she was real nice. I really don't know her first name, I just called her Miss Patrice. So, I was with her or whatever, and she was going to church. And this is the first time I have any experience with religion. Any knowing about God, my dad never said about God, never went to church, never, anything else. So, I was like, okay, I was like, so I went there and she was nice, and she had another kid that was her foster. There were two others, there were four of us together. One was a baby, it was her son was like 5 at the time, and there was another kid that was about my age or whatever. So, we was, a foster family. And we started going to church, and it was, like I said, it was my first time going to church, and I started learning about Jesus or whatever. And about, I learned about loving God with all your heart, and I learned about love the neighbor, and, not hate, not, doing bad towards your neighbor. So that changed me. That, I said, and I learned from going to church and from praying about it. Jesus Christ spoke to me and said, all that crap that you was taught by your dad, that hate black people, that hate people from Mexico, Hispanic people, Latino people, Middle Eastern people, anybody that, your dad always said, you're gonna hate or you're gonna look bad on bad people, ain't true, whatever. So it changed me totally to the person that I am today or whatever, because, I was able to see through the bullshit that my dad was telling me and saying, black people aren't bad. And the thing about it was I went to school, and I don't remember his last name. I just remember, because like I said, we went to a county school. So the same school that I went to when I lived in littlest, Georgia, I went to when I was in Jessup, Georgia. So, we lived in Jessup. She lived in Jessup, not littlest. So I was going to school, and I think I was in third grade. I was in third grade at this time. And I remember when I was in littlest, when I was going there, and I seen this black kid, and his name was Jesse. Now, Jesse, Jesse was a likable person or whatever. Everybody liked him. But when I looked down at him, I said, I can't like him. I was like, he can't be my friend. I was like, I just can't be his friend, or I get in trouble, or I get beat, or I get hurt really, really, really bad. If I go home and tell me, hey, I met a new friend today, and his name's Jesse, and he's black, and my dad will beat my ass. My dad will whoop my ass and say I'm disrespecting the family, I'm insulting the family because I'm friends with a black person. So, I was able to go there, and it felt like, when I was with her and living with her and around her, it was like 1,000-pound weight was lifted off me. It was lifted off me or whatever, that, I can be free to be friends with people. I didn't have a restriction now, you can't be this person's friend because, this, not because they were a bad person or they done bad things, because the way they looked and the way, they had things going on that they had no control over. They were born that way or whatever, so, you can't be it because, it's a certain thing. But when I was with Miss Patrice, I was able to be friends with a black person or whatever, and I was able to get to know a black person and, talk to a black person, and stuff. And I learned that everything that I was told about black people was a lie. It was a lie. It was like, no truth was in it or whatever. So, I was able to make friends, I was able to talk to Jesse and become good friends with him. And up until this point, I was never, we bounced around schools. We'll go to school maybe about 3 or 4 months in one spot, and we'll go to a different town, state, and go to school there, and, move around and everything like that. So I remember when I was, with Miss Patrice, she put me in a baseball league or whatever. So, and I was in a league, and, it was mixed bunch, just not just white people or whatever. So I was able to, play, and I was able to play with this black kid or whatever, and I just thought he was the coolest person in the world. I was like, he ain't a bad person. Okay, now when we got back when we came together, all four of us came back together. We moved from Littlest to Jessup, Georgia, and we were staying at this apartment. As well. Some places they are they were apartments, but you can also rent them for the night or two or whatever. They were apartments and motel rooms at the same thing. You can pay a week and stay a week or whatever, and that's what we were doing. So anyway, my dad was very violent. He used to beat the shit out of my mom all the time, all the time. All the time. I mean, we went and my mom called the cops. The cops came in. The cops were like, "What do you want us to do about it?" Like, we can't do anything about it. So they put my dad in jail. My dad arrested my dad for a night. And, they moved us to a women's shelter, a youth women's shelter. So, we moved from, we was living in Jessup, Georgia. So they moved us to Savannah, Georgia, where this women's shelter was. Now, I was still, I was at the point in my life where I didn't hate black people or whatever, but just because, I had the mindset and the way I was, taught, and, whatever, that just because you don't hate them doesn't mean they don't hate you. So, I was worried about, being around a bunch of black people because I said I can love them just like Christ loves them, but do they love me? You know what I'm saying? Do they love me? Do they, want to do, see me good or whatever? So, we got put in this women's shelter and we got transferred schools, and it was a city school, and it's kind of a big city or whatever. One of the first times I've been to a big city school. And like I said, I've been to like almost 10 schools by this point. So, anyway, we went there and, we got told with the bus, it's gonna pick us up, and it was in the middle of the ghetto. It was in the middle of this housing complex, and it was for black people. Now, I was worried. I wasn't, filled with, oh man, I can't be around black people, and, I wasn't like that. I'm like, they're gonna hate me. They're gonna hurt me. They're not gonna like me because I'm white. I'm gonna get hurt really, really bad. I'm either gonna get shot, I'm either gonna get in a fight, robbed, something. And then my mom said she would come with, so I said, and I really, was half hesitant about, really wanting my mom to go with us because, I was always told that black people rape white women. That's what they, they want to do, is rape white women. So I was worried. So, anyway, we're waiting on the bus and everything, and, we're standing close together, and, people are moving around, it's busy or whatever, and it's a bit people waiting on the bus. So, we go to school, and, I didn't have a problem with anybody in that ghetto about coming at me, hating on me, saying bad stuff to me. I didn't have no problem with that. Nobody said anything, done anything to me or whatever. So, I was uneasy. I was like, again, I learned that, that was a lie. That was a lie. What I was told wasn't true, by no means, because, my dad, what my dad and his friends and his family and everybody else tried to impact on me, and tell me, well, I was in a point, I was in a situation where what they said is true would happen, but it did not happen. So I learned that, again, I was like, they're wrong or whatever. So, anyway, I went to school, school, and, it was funny because, we was riding the bus one day, and, and like I said, we was the only white kids on this bus, so we sat at the front of the bus. So when our stop came, we was, the first ones off the bus. because we was like, I was hesitant or whatever. My brother was a little hesitant or whatever because, we was raised, told something and made to believe something. So, when we was in that situation, that's all we could think of. That, shit's gonna get real. Shit's gonna get real. So, we was on the bus one day and we rode down in the beginning of the week and all through the route, people in the very back of the bus was yelling, screaming, jumping around and, everything. And the bus driver was like, quiet down, sit down, behave, quit doing, and so, and it was about a 25-minute bus ride through the city to where we got our stop at. So, we was coming home from school one day. And, the bus driver kept yelling at him through the whole week. So this was like a Thursday. And the bus driver said this was in like 93, 92. So it was way before cell phones. You had to pay a pay phone or whatever. So, anyway. And then the bus pulls over and the bus driver says, get your my bus. Or whatever, and kicks the kids off the bus or whatever. And I'm not saying anything. I'm like, oh man, this ain't gonna be Good Friday. I said, Friday morning, stuff's gonna pop off or whatever. It didn't wait till Friday. I don't know how. I don't know, whatever. But, in the housing projects, there was like 3 stops or whatever through the whole thing, and we was the last stop. So, like I said, me and my brother sat at the very front of the bus, or whatever, so we can clearly look out the front window. And, we was coming to it, and we stopped at one stop, and we can look straight ahead, and we can see our stop. And we looked up ahead, and we seen this big group of black people. This group, this power together, and I'm like, oh boy. And I got closer and I seen the kids that got kicked off the bus that was standing there. And they was with their moms, dads, brothers, the whole neighborhood, the whole damn neighborhood was waiting at this bus stop. And I'm like, great. Cause I remembered, I was like, black people, they're really gonna hate me now or do something to me because they're angry and they're gonna take their frustrations out on me because I'm white. I'm gonna get hurt really, really bad. So, the bus pulls up, opens the door to let us off or whatever, and before anybody can stand up or, start moving the door, they block the passageway. And, all these people are yelling at the bus driver. Bus driver's yelling back and forth. And they line up on the side of the bus and they start rocking it back and forth. Like, trying to either flip it or something. Like, they didn't give a care about anybody else that was on that bus. And the other kid that was on that bus. They were just like, wait, and they were really, really pissed off. And again, I was like, remembering that, black people hate white people, and what's worse, gonna make them even, take their frustrations out on me more, is because they're angry. So, they started walking the bus or whatever, and, I was scared. I was really, really scared or whatever. So I, went to the top of the steps, to go down, and I said, can I get off the bus, please? And they didn't say anything. They didn't look my way. They didn't say anything. They were still yelling. The bus driver was yelling. So I repeated myself. I was like, can I get off the bus, please? The girl looked at me, the first one looked at me, and she didn't say anything to me. They just moved out the way. They parted, like, they made a path for me to get off the bus, or whatever. They didn't give me a bad look, didn't give me any look at all, just moved away, and I was able to get off the bus, or whatever. And I got off the bus, and, my brother did, and we met up with my mom, and we just left. So, when my mom and my dad finally separated. You know, we moved to this town. And, my dad, you know, wasn't in my life for about 6 months, a year. So, you know, at this time when I moved in, you know, real quickly, I had a friend. I met this kid. He was half black or whatever. And I was talking to him, and I told him about my dad. Because, you know, we started talking about our dad or whatever, because he was telling me about his dad and stuff, and I was like, my dad, you know, this. And I told him, and he was kind of hesitant. I told him, yeah, my dad was prejudiced, he didn't like black people. And he was like hesitant. So one day my dad came visit or whatever, last time I seen my dad. You know, he came in and I went over to my friend's house. I said, hey man, I said, I want to introduce you to my dad. He said, I don't want to meet your dad. He said, why not? I said, I want you to meet my dad. He's like, your dad is prejudiced. He ain't gonna like me. I ain't gonna go meet your dad. I said, that's exactly why I want to introduce you to him. Because I want him to know that no matter what he told me about being prejudiced and hating black people or hating this person, I didn't take to it. I don't do what he wanted me to do. I didn't become the person that he wanted me to become. I became a better person. So he said, you know, okay. So, you know, I went over and introduced him. And my dad's, oh man, you can tell. My dad was pissed. He was pissed off or whatever. But, you know, he couldn't do anything. You know, to me or whatever. So, you know, he left and I never seen him again. Okay, people, now, the question is, do I ever look back and miss my dad? No, I never missed my dad. My dad, you know, there was more negative things my dad brought to the table or brought in my life than positive things. You know, whatever, you know. My dad, you know, your dad, you know, you're thinking your dad makes you a great person or makes you the person you are today. My dad did not make me the person I am today. I have to thank Jesus Christ as the one that made me the person I am today. Because if I'd done it my dad's way, I'd either been dead, in jail, or just a horrible, horrible person in general. But I learned that what my dad taught me, what all the other people I was around taught me, was a lie and wasn't true, or whatever. But anyway, you know, like I said, that was just my growing up. Like this video, comment down below, subscribe to my channel for more stories. But until the next time, peace out, homie. Have a good day. Peace out.